Hello students, welcome to the second part of the chapter. In the last lecture we have completed up to the solubility part, and in today's lecture we are going to continue with the further part. Okay, so solubility. So as we have discussed about the different solutes, okay, so there are different types of the solutes we are going to discuss in this lecture. See, so basically there are three solutes which I am going to take up the name of this. The condition is, see, KNO3. Okay, then there is one more salt, NaCl, and one more, that is calcium sulfate. So you just have to remember the name. Don't go so deep in this part because this solubility curve has been, it's a 12th standard part, but as you are in your 9th standard you don't have to learn about this part. See, solubility and temperature. To see the part, see, when the temperature is increased, solubility increases. Okay, when the temperature is increased, the solubility remains same. When the temperature is increased, solubility decreases. मतलब हम लोग ने तीनों केस दे लिया. See, in this three case, the temperature has been increased, okay, but the solubility of the different salts, see, this all are salt, okay, potassium nitrate, NaCl, calcium sulfate, this all. When temperature is increased, the solubility of the potassium nitrate increases. When the temperature is increased, the solubility remains the same. And in calcium sulfate, when the temperature is increased, the solubility decreases. So this is fixed and constant in nature. So basically, what does the graph shows? See, if you increase the temperature, the solubility will increase like this. See, it will show the curve like this. See, I am increasing the temperature, and what it's showing, see, this is the solubility part and this is the temperature. So I am increasing my temperature, okay, so that is why the solubility was increasing. In NaCl case, see, it started from here, suppose. So see, I am increasing my temperature. See here, I am increasing my temperature, but the solubility is the same. But in the third case, okay, in the third case, suppose I am starting up from here, the solubility is showing up a down curve. So this was related to potassium nitrate, this was NaCl, and this is calcium sulfate, because nitrate has the high solubilities. Okay, so this is the solubility curve part. Okay, now effect of pressure on the solubility. Now we are going to study about the two different parts, and this is in Henry law. Okay, Henry was a scientist who have founded this part. See what he said. When you increase the pressure, the solubility also increases. What does Henry's law say? He say pressure and solubilities goes hand in hand. When you increase the pressure, the solubility increases. Okay, when you increase the pressure, the solubility increases. This was said. So this shows that the pressure and the solubility both has the direct relation. What do you mean by direct relation? Suppose when the pressure is decreased, so definitely at that period of time the solubility will be decreased. Okay, when the pressure is increased, solubility increases. When the pressure is decreased, the solubility also decreases. So basically this was said by the Henry. So what we have found here, see, we are taking a two condition in order to understand perfectly. Suppose I am taking a soda bottle. Okay, and this is the other soda bottle. this soda bottle and this is also a soda bottle. But in both the cases, see, in both the cases, I'm keeping at room temperature. Okay, room temperature means a normal temperature. And I'm keeping the same identical bottle in the refrigerator. So we know that part very well. See, when we keep this both soda bottle, this is condition A. When we keep this both soda bottle, see, this I'm going to keep this in a normal room temperature. Okay, this bottle. Okay, in somewhere like outside. Okay, not in the refrigerator. Outside if I've kept. And this is the refrigerator. This bottle, same identical bottle, I've kept in the refrigerator. So in both the cases, what is going to happen? See, whenever you are going to open the soda bottle, which is kept at a normal room temperature, so at that particular period of a time, the pressure is low. Okay, the pressure is low. So that is why the carbon dioxide gas. See, every soda has the carbon dioxide gas involved in it. Every soda has the carbon dioxide proportion. See, so when the carbon dioxide gas is there inside this, okay, and it has been kept at normal temperature, so what does that mean? The pressure is low. Okay, since the pressure is low, the solubility will be low. So that's why whenever you open up this kind of a soda bottle, at that particular period of a time, we don't see any of the gas bubbles. Okay, we see only few gas bubbles, and it does not taste sweet as well. But whenever we take up the second example, that is the B condition, that is the refrigerator part. Whenever we take up this soda bottle from the refrigerator, okay, and when we open, it produces up the sound, and at the same period of a time, more and more gas bubbles you are going to see in that bottle. And whenever you are going to drink that soda, so it will taste quite sweet than the normal bottle. Okay, so the soda bottle which is kept inside the refrigerator, okay, and the soda bottle which is kept at a normal room temperature outside, okay, normal condition I'm talking about. So refrigerator bottle will taste sweet. This shows when the pressure is increased, the solubility also increases. So the carbon dioxide gas was more involved in this, so that is why we could see the effervescence. What do you mean by the word effervescence? The word effervescence means the gas bubbles. Gas bubbles. Now we are going to take the second condition related to temperature. This was related to the pressure, and now we are going to take about the temperature part. Temperature and solubility. Now, when the temperature increases, the solubility decreases. When the temperature decreases, solubility increases. This shows a inverse relation. Okay, this shows the inverse relation. What does that means? Inverse relation means the indirect relation. Okay, not a direct one. As it was showing up a direct, okay, this was showing up a direct relation, but this will show up the inverse relation. Now as it is going to show up the inverse relation, see what exactly happened. We all know that the water which we drink at our home tastes salty. Home water tastes salty. Why it tastes salty? Because it has some of the impurities, some of the mineral salt is had, so that is why it tastes salty. But now, if same home water, if we are going to boil now, if I'm going to boil the same water, okay, now this home water, okay, home water means a normal water, okay, water will be tasteless. See, now in the first condition, that is condition A, water will taste salty, a normal, okay. But when we are going to apply the condition of a temperature, the water will become tasteless. So this shows up the inverse relation. See, when there was a temperature, low temperature, at that period of a time, the water was salty. See this condition. Low temperature, water was tasty, means the solubility was high. But when we increase the temperature by applying this part, okay, when we increase the temperature, the solubility decreases, so that is why it became tasteless. Okay, so in both of the case, we came to the conclusion that temperature and solubility shows up the inverse relation, whereas the pressure and the solubility shows up the direct relations. Now we are going to start with the new part, that is the crystals. Okay, now we have seen the crystals part. Okay, now what do you mean by crystals? A crystals is homogeneous, which is arranged symmetrical, okay, and which has a definite shape. Crystals, what are called crystals? They are homogeneous, means uniform in nature, and we have discussed about the word homogeneous. They have a definite geometrical shape, they have a definite shape, and they are symmetrical in nature. Symmetrical means what? They can be equally divided. Okay, symmetrical means equally divided. So crystals should have this three features. It should be homogeneous, okay, it should be have a perfect definite shape, and it should be a symmetrical in shape. Okay, and every crystal have these sharp edges. And due to the sharp edges only, they get a definite shape. Now what do you mean by the word crystallization then? When we take hot saturated solution, okay, when we cool this hot saturated solution, it turns into a crystal. Okay, so this process, a hot saturated solution, when we get cool this up, so eventually it takes up the shape of a crystal. Suppose these are the crystals. Okay, suppose no, not these are the crystals. Suppose this is the powdery form. Okay, and when I am going to keep this powder form cool for a period of a time, so it will eventually be form up a shape like this. Suppose now this was the powdery shape. Okay, now when I have cooled this solution, so it eventually got converted into a crystals. So this is the formation, this is how the crystalline get formed. So see, the word crystal means a normal, this is a crystal, but how this crystal was formed? When a hot saturated solution got cooled down, it got converted into a crystal. Okay, the process, so this was a process. Okay, how this amorphous, this is known as the amorphous form. What do you mean by word amorphous? Powdery form. And this is a crystal form. When this powder got converted into a crystal by cooling it down, this process is called the crystallization. The word TION means the process. Okay, the word TION means the process. So we have heard about the word water of crystallization. Okay, there are certain substances in which the water molecules are loosely combined with them. Okay, so I am writing up the definition in my term, but you don't have to refer to this part, you go for the textbook only. Certain substance in which water molecules are loosely attached to it is called water of crystallization. Okay, water of crystallization. Let's take an example. This is example, okay? So certain substance, suppose CuSO4 is a substance in which water molecules are loosely attached. See, this is loosely attached. Why the word loosely attached is given? Because see, if I'm going to heat this water, if I'm going to heat this crystal, so the copper sulfate and water will get dissociate. Okay, this blue color solution will eventually turn into white. So means this was crystals, and when it got broken down, it got amorphous, means the powdery form. Okay, exactly reverse can be happen. If I'm going to see, this is a reversible object. If I'm going to cool this up, if I'm going to cool this, okay, and if I'm going to cool this and I'm going to add some water to this part, so this blue color solution can retain and it can form again a crystalline solution. So there are certain substances who has water in them and some of them does not have the water in them. So they have been classified into two parts. The name itself suggests hydrated and anhydrous. The word hydrated means what? Water molecules are there. Like example, copper sulfate dot 5H2, and who are considered as anhydrous without water molecules. See, this is a copper sulfate which water molecules means hydrated. Hydrated means water was there. The word An means without. Okay, we have heard about this word in anaerobic. Anaerobic means what? Without. So here N means without and hydrous means without water. See the same molecule. देखो ये copper sulfate dot 5H2O मतलब hydrated, and this same copper sulfate but water molecules are not attached are called anhydrous substances. And there are many of the examples you should understand. Now three different substances we are going to study. That is efflorescent, deliquescent and hygroscopic. Okay, three different substances we are going to study. First I am going to write about the efflorescent. See, certain substances when comes in contact with dry air lose their water of crystallization partially or completely. Certain substances when comes in contact with dry air lose their water molecules completely or partially. It could be partially or completely. Okay, suppose I am taking an example. This is called washing soda. Okay, you should know the chemical name. Washing soda. When it comes in contact with dry air, so what it does, see, when it comes in contact with dry air, lose their water molecule. So now what is going to happen? It is going to lose their water molecule. So there were 10 water molecules, but it has lose only 9 water molecules. 1 water molecule is left. So this was partially. Okay, this was partially. Now one more example I am going to take. Globus and dry air Na2SO4 plus 10H2O. See here 10H2O in first, and this was this. Here 10H2O was there, right? It lost its complete 10 molecules of water. It lost its complete 10 molecules of water in the presence of the dry air. So when it loosed up its complete 10 water molecules, so it means showed it was completely loose. So efflorescent are certain substances. That certain substances you should study. Okay. When comes in contact with dry air, lose their water molecule completely or partially. See, I've given the both example. In this, it was loose partially because one molecule was there, one molecule was still left, and in this, the all 10 water molecules was removed. Now we are going to study about the deliquescent substances. Here, what do you mean by the word deliquescence? Certain substances when comes in contact with water, comes in contact with the moisture, okay, don't write water. Certain substances when comes in contact with the moisture absorbs the moisture and ultimately gets dissolved. Certain substance when comes in contact with the moisture, absorb the moisture and ultimately get dissolved in it. Certain examples are FeCl3, okay, calcium chloride. See, these names are very important. You should know each and every name. So they are certain substance when they are kept, okay, when they are kept in the atmosphere, so they absorb the moisture from the atmosphere, and when comes in contact with the moisture, they absorb the moisture and ultimately get dissolved in it. Like example, we know that very well that if I am going to take a salt and I am going to take a glass of water and I will try to dissolve that salt inside that water, so what is going to happen? That NaCl will get dissolved, okay. So that NaCl is considered to be deliquescent only. Why? Because certain substance when comes in contact with the atmospheric moisture, write like this, atmospheric moisture, they absorb the moistures and ultimately get dissolved in it. So what does that NaCl do? They absorb the moisture which was there inside that glass and they got dissolved in it. But there is a give reason. Pure NaCl does not get dissolved in water. The answer is because pure NaCl. See, if we see up the salt which is formed at the riverbed, okay, riverbed. So at that period of a time, that riverbed, okay, there is a lot of NaCl we can found at the riverbed, but that salt, due to the waves, does not get dissolved. Instead of that, that salt remain there only like a rock. Okay, so this shows that the pure NaCl does not get dissolved, because if it has to dissolve, then how the NaCl will get formed then? Okay, how we will eat the salt? So, but when we bring the salt at our home, that salt get dissolved, because our salt is not pure, it is commercial salt, commercial NaCl. Commercial NaCl means which is consumable, okay, which can have like we can use in our food and all. Commercial NaCl contains calcium chloride and magnesium chloride, which are deliquescents which are deliquescent. This calcium chloride and magnesium chloride, which are deliquescents. Commercial NaCl contains calcium chloride and NaCl, which are deliquescent. So that is why NaCl can dissolve in water. So if someone asks you, okay, does the pure NaCl dissolve in water or not? The answer is no. Pure NaCl does not get dissolved. So who get dissolved? Commercial NaCl get dissolved. Why? Because it contains two deliquescent substances, magnesium chloride and calcium chloride. See, here we have given the example also. So these names are very important. Now last, hygroscopic. See, the definition is same. Certain substance when comes in contact with the atmospheric moisture absorb the moisture and ultimately do not get dissolved. So in hygroscopic and deliquescent, the only difference are it get dissolved, it does not get dissolved. Examples are very important of hygroscopic and they might ask you in the exams. Okay, that's this calcium oxide, phosphorus pentaoxide, calcium chloride, anhydrous calcium chloride, anhydrous calcium chloride. Okay, silica gel, and in liquid if you want, so concentrated sulfuric acid. So these are the important example. See, silica gel, you might have heard about this word silica gel before also. Whenever you bring up any of the camera and all, okay, camera in shoe or in medicinal boxes, we can see this silica gel. So what that silica gel does, it absorbs the moisture but then it does not get dissolved. मतलब क्या होता है, silica pouch आता है ऐसा. Okay, inside that silica there are some substance. Okay, suppose this is the moisture which is coming from outside, so this moisture is going to get absorbed, but silica का pouch जैसा था वैसा ही रहने वाला है. It is not going to change. Okay, silica pouch is not going to change. Now more two topics and that's it. The topic is ended. Drying versus dehydrating agent. See, drying and dehydrating looks similar only, but according to me, drying and drying is considered to be a physical process and dehydrating is considered to be a chemical process. Why? See, let's take an example. Suppose this is HCl, which is moist, and suppose ड्राइंग एजेंट में सपोज मैंने ये यूज़ कर लिया कॉन्सेंट्रेटेड सल्फ्यूरिक एसिड, HCl, but it becomes dry then. See what happened in this. This is a physical process. The physical state only got changed. This was moist HCl and this was dry HCl. Okay, किसने हेल्प किया? Concentrated sulfuric acid ने. But in dehydrating it is a chemical process. Suppose I am going to write the formula of glucose. Okay, and I am going to use concentrated sulfuric acid as a drying agent. तो ये क्या बन जाएगा मालूम है? See, inside this water is there. Okay, अगर मैं इस फॉर्मूला को ऐसा लिखूँ तो C6 and water like this. See, C6, this is 12 and 6, so I have removed 6 common. Okay, because 6 2s are 12 and 6 1s are 6. तो ये ऐसा ही दिखेगा, राइट? तो in this 6 water molecule I am going to remove and 6 carbon I am going to remove. 6 carbon and 6 water molecules I am going to remove out here. तो we can see out here, ये ग्लूकोज का फॉर्मूला ओरिजिनली इट वाज C6H12O6, बट व्हेन वी यूज द कॉन्सेंट्रेटेड सल्फ्यूरिक एसिड तो वाटर इसमें निकाल दिया बट कार्बन को रखा, सिर्फ वाटर निकल गया. सी व्हाट एग्जैक्टली हैपेंड इन द ड्राइंग, ओनली द मॉइस्ट और ड्राई. HCl का फॉर्मूला नहीं चेंज हुआ था. HCl वाज हियर आल्सो सेम, हियर आल्सो सेम, बट हियर in case of the glucose the formula had changed. See here the glucose formula was this and here the glucose formula has been distorted. Okay, here it is 6 and 6H2O. So here water was removed in this part. So dehydrating is considered as a chemical process. Why? Because water has been removed chemically. Okay, water has been removed chemically. And only 6C is left. So what it shows, that dehydrating is a chemical process, whereas physical process, drying is a physical process. Okay, because here the formula is not changing, but here the formula is changing because it has removed the water molecule completely. Okay, अभी ग्लूकोज का जो वाटर था वो completely remove हो चुका है. They might ask you a question. See, at the top of the margin you write, because this is very important, concentrated sulfuric acid is drying as well as dehydrating agent. This is very important. Concentrated sulfuric acid is drying as well as dehydrating agent. If you don't write the word concentrated, your answer would be wrong. Okay, so you should be careful regarding this part. In drying examples, see, dehydrating has only one example, that is concentrated sulfuric acid. But drying का example है ना hygroscopic here. This examples. So the same examples we have to write for hygroscopic and the same example we have to write for drying, because इनके concept same ही होते हैं. Okay. So this was the part 2 of the chapter. Thank you, students.